Hey everybody, I wanted to share some information with you about UCS. One of the topics that we spent some time looking at in our Administering UCS class is our roles. It's important to have an idea that, role-based access is going to vary based on not only the end user's responsibility, are they a server admin, are they a network admin, but we can also sort of tie those roles together with organizations. And organizations, sometimes in just a simple implementation of a UCS cluster, isn't necessarily super imperative. We might have all of our address pools and all of our configurations done in one organization. But later down the road, if we end up implementing our UCS cluster into something like UCS Central, which is where we can manage multiple different clusters. So instead of having, one UCS manager instance open and another instance open, we can basically integrate them with the UCS Central. Now, when we start getting into those orgs within UCS Central, that's really where we can leverage the different organizations and their addressing. So first, let's spend just a really quick second kind of covering role-based access control and our roles. So over here on the left, when we're looking at our, let me get my pen here, our admin tab, down here we can see some of the predefined roles. These are automatically built into UCS. You don't have to use these, but when you click on them, you can kind of get a feel for what some of the privileges are associated with some of those. You can certainly manipulate the predefined roles to accommodate your specific environment. But in addition to the predefined roles, we can always come up with our own roles that we have gone in and built. So you can do that over here in the content pane. Now, after we've gotten our role built, you can kind of see how our organizations sort of tie into this. So when we create an org for the very first time, I'm just going to pop on over to a machine that I have the UCS platform emulator installed on. I just logged into it here. This is my browser that I'll map to the address that Cisco provided for me, and then basically whenever I'm navigating around, if I go into my suborgs, I can see some of the different suborgs that I already have built. So I have a dev suborg and I have a pod 1 suborg, and let's say I wanted to create one more. Let's say I wanted to create, our Atlanta data center suborg. Right. When I click OK, I've gotten that Atlanta suborg built. And even though I created it in my server tab, if I pop on over to my storage tab or any of my other tabs, you'll see that that Atlanta data center has been populated. So later down the road, if I want to go in and either associate a particular role with a particular suborg, I can do that. That gives me a little bit more power. So if I do have some resources that I only want one administrator to be able to manage, I can certainly leverage that with the use of things like locales and quite a variety of control. So when we look at those orgs, they are enabling us to be able to create this hierarchical space. So they give us a couple other examples here. And really, at the end of the day, whenever I go into those suborgs, if I have specific address pools that I only built for Arizona or New York, anytime I create a service profile under the umbrella of New York, I'll never be able to use the address pools that might have been configured in Arizona. Now, everything is very hierarchical, so just because I created something in my New York pane doesn't mean that I won't be able to access resources from root. So going back to this topology, let's say I did want to create, I don't know, whatever the case may be, let me go in my LAN tab. Let's say I wanted to just configure a pool of Macs. If I create it from the root, then anything down here will be able to access those address pools. All right, so you get a little bit more flexibility with the organizations, but if I have some addresses I only want to use for dev, then I'll want to create the Mac pool just under dev, so just that org can use those resources pools. Eventually, when we start getting into creating our service profile, we'll be able to see from the drop-down box, oh, here's my dev pool that I created. And if I had any other pools that I created in root, I would be able to see those listed here too. All right, well, I hope that was helpful, and I hope that we get to see you in our Administering UCS class. Thank you.